Okay, should be good.
Okay, thank you. So I'm going to share my screen and share my case.
Awesome.
I prepared some questions, but those questions not only for this student in the case. So we can talk about the case first.
Okay.
I introduced the background of my school. This is an international school named SMIC in Shanghai. And there are two tracks. One is Chinese track and one is on a international track. And I work in the international part, grade 1. In every classroom from grade 1 to 3, we always have one homeroom teacher with a foreigner or Taiwanese, Hong Kongese. Also, like there is 1 or 2 Chinese teacher, but it's really rare to see. But anyway, all other AT, which is assistant teacher, are all Chinese, and we need to communicate with the parents and also help homeroom teacher to make sure everything goes smoothly in the classroom and check if any students are paying attention in class or sitting well, and make sure their safety.
Gotcha. How many students do you have in your classroom right now?
We have 21, but there is one girl still in the US and haven't come back yet. So basically we have 20 kids.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. And the student's name is Fire. His
Yeah.
Chinese name is Vancouver, which is really interesting too. And a few days ago, his mom changed his name from Fire to Kaka, but because this word is kind of sensitive in some languages, so I'm going to just call him Fire. In the background of this student is he's 7 years old and he was born in Japan, and he just came back from Japan in March this year. Oh, 2022, sorry. Yeah, so basically he only speaks Chinese and English, and he doesn't know any English at the beginning. He even can't recognize the capital letter or the small letter, and he can't write, of course, and he was very like against the school because my homeroom teacher, the lady who didn't really treat him well, the first class I went and I saw she was yelling at him just right in front of his face and asked him, "What are you doing? Why can't you just sit well?" Because he always like touch this and that, because I kind of feel he has ADHD, but I'm not sure because his mom didn't take him to the hospital. But I suggested him like, maybe you should take him to check. But you know, lots of Chinese traditional people, they think they can't accept like there's something wrong with my kid. So I'm not sure. Yeah. And so because of the language barrier, he was super struggling in the first 3 months, and he can't understand what is a homeroom teacher talking about, and he can't read any English words, and he can't recognize the letters, he can't write, and basically the whole day he just sitting there and doing nothing and play the stationery. So he rely on me so much because I'm the person who support him, who understand him. And my homeroom teacher, like, he's a really, really nice teacher for other students, but she treats this kid so differently, because like she always say that if this kid is not trying, she's not willing to help. She doesn't want to help, and she basically just keep distance from him, and sometimes even ask him to sit alone. And there was one time she even took the kid out of the classroom and stand there for the whole class outside alone, which is I can't accept it. So from few months, like we started our school since September this year, and it's the 3rd month. Yeah. And there are 2 months I always ask those kids to go to my table and do his test just with me, because I have to help him, I feel. And meanwhile, he has also behavior issues, such as touch other boys' private part in the bathroom or in the classroom, hit other students, yell at other students. If somebody don't follow his mind, he'll be angry and he'll screaming so loud and force his classmate to follow his idea. For example, you take today you wear a very cute t-shirt and he want to see, but you don't like him, so you'll say, "No, I don't want you to see, look at it." And he'll say, "You wear clothes for people to look at it." Like, he always have a very strong mind that I say it, you need to do it. So I also work on those kind of things with him a lot. We also send him to the counselor that he needs to be lead to the right way, or his parents doesn't really work that well for his education. And sometimes, like if I'm not in the classroom, for example, if I go to eat lunch, assistant teacher and homeroom teacher will have different lunchtime. Sometimes he leave the classroom because he doesn't really like the homeroom teacher, and without telling anyone. So there are some teachers found him in the hallway or in the different like auditorium class or somewhere. This, which is also kind of dangerous for him.
Yeah.
And he also, because he doesn't understand anything, he can't listen. He was just sitting there and hear the teachers blah 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 blah, and he can't help himself, bothering other students, especially his elbow buddy or the girl who sat in front of him. And he never can stand well in line. He know the rule, he know the routine, he knows everything, but he just want to challenge everyone every day. Maybe that's the way he get attention. That's what I understand. Yeah, and few weeks ago, I found that he started to steal things from my stationery box, and also he stole some his elbow buddy's stationery. Sorry, I need to drink some water. My throat is very itchy.
Yeah, no worries. Do you mind if I ask a question?
Yeah.
Do you think that like your problems could like be from modeling, like from trying to copy what the like other is doing? Like you say he's like screaming in other kids' faces, and you said that's kind of how the other teacher in the classroom is treating him. Do you think
Yeah.
like could there is what do you think about like that possibility?
Sorry, excuse me.
Yeah, no worries, no worries. I should probably have something to drink too. My throat's really scratchy.
Can you give me more water, please?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I think the biggest reason is he learned that from his dad. Every time if we send email to his parents and his dad see if there was any problem, and he said always beat him, use the clothes hanger. Because there was one time in the morning, our homeroom teacher is not there, and I was teaching, and he was laughing and mentioned that my dad beat me yesterday so hard, and the clothes hanger even broke. And I said, Fire, please don't tell everyone in front of the whole class. You can talk to me privately. And also after that, I was thinking like, why would he say that? Like with smile, because like that's the way he protect himself and express himself. If he doesn't use that way to express, he would like torture himself in his mind all the time. Yeah, I think like he start to yell at students like just after few like 1 or 2 months, because he learned that from his classmates. Like some students doesn't really like him, and teacher doesn't really like him, and those kids kind of mean to him because they realize the homeroom teacher can bully him, why can't we? So there are some kids are really mean to him and always yell at him, so he used the same way to attack back to protect himself. Yeah, and also there are some kids like didn't really hit him, but he told me that his mom taught him if somebody hits you, you need to hit back. Because when he was a kid, there are some kids hang out with her son, and somebody hit him and he did nothing. So his mom said, oh, I have to tell my son that he needs to protect himself. But nowadays we need to change his mind, because there are different cultures, especially here in China. The parents are like, no matter where, the parents are not allowed the kid hit their own kids, for sure. But the first thing, you need to talk to teacher, you need to tell teacher, so teacher can help you solve the problem and help you figure everything out, but not hit them back yourself.
Are there like reporter laws in China, like where if like a student mentions something like this, that is there like anywhere that you should report it to, or
like parents beat them like the
yeah?
I think we do, but you know, this is kind of interesting topic that lots of traditional Chinese parents, like we even have a slang that the rainy day you have nothing to do, let's beat the kids. It's like kind of it's like kind of like a stupid tradition, which we definitely shouldn't do. But when I was a kid, when I was a student, my teacher slapped my face and hold my hand and spank me and even broke my toenail. They all happened before. But since I go to the high school, I think during that year, which is 2012 or 2010. Sorry. And the Chinese government started to publish the rule that no teacher are allowed to punish students, no matter physically or by language. Actually, after that, like things change a lot, and no, I don't see any teacher beat any students anymore. And if there is any teacher or parents really abuse their kids that way, there are some departments for those kids to like report, or for their teacher to report those kind of parents or teachers. But actually, maybe in the first line city, but in some small cities or village, like I'm not sure, like maybe there is no department to protect those kids, right? So we still need to, establish more like a better system for protecting kids safety, even just at home. Yeah. And the strength of this student, his math is really, really good, and his math ability totally meets the expectation of the first grade so far. But this is we start to learn like the compare, like which is longer, which is shorter, and which is longest, which is the shortest. It's kind of hard for him because there are too much English, not only calculate, not only write the number sentence. So it will be kind of hard for him. But fortunately, his parents hired the tutoring at home 3 times a week. That is also under the school pressure because we have the parents meeting at the beginning of the year, and school requires that his parents need to hire the tutor at home. So his English ability is much better now, and he's a quick learner, but he kind of against English and also kind of against school now, but it's really reasonable. And the only problem is like he can't read much English, so I always like need to translate for him first and then tell him what to do, and then he can do it by himself. And his nature is actually not bad. He always say hi and be very polite to the teacher every time he meets in the hallway, and he it also kind of bother my homeroom teacher because like we need to do COVID test every morning in school, and he always like don't go back to the classroom and always walk around and to meet if there is any teacher he knows, and he just want to say hi to those teachers. It is a cute, also is a problem. And the third strength is under the pressure from school. Oh yeah, that's what I mentioned. Like his parents don't speak any English neither. Like that's also a problem. Like his mom knows a bit, like T's mom, but it's not enough. And she definitely can talk to homeroom teacher, so she always only talk to me. But obviously homeroom teacher is the person who knows the kids like study behavior, so I need to translate a lot between them. Yeah. And this is his mom mentioned that he always tries to avoid speaking English at home because he always say, oh, why don't we just speak Japanese? Let's just talk about speak Japanese now. I think he just kind of against it because everyone is forcing him to speak English. Is like, the kid during that age, like a 7-year-old, they always like don't want to follow every single thing that you force him to do.
Plus, like, from the sounds of it, if he's struggling with it in the classroom, like he might have like a mindset, like he might not have a growth mindset about it, thinking like, oh, like this is something that I can't do. Everyone in my classroom, they can all speak English, and my teacher speaks English, and I can't do it. So maybe he has that like negative like self-view. Yeah. So is there what if like how do you think you could get him to engage with like English more? Like do you have any ideas what you might do?
there are some strategies we use, like what we mentioned, when we talk about T, we also use the, where is it? The phonics book, which is Oxford phonics book that I always have like the 1v1 training with him just at my table. And I will teach him some like phonics, and that is really helpful, and his English is much better and he can read lots of words. And during the class time, I always ask him to come to my place, and we're going to read the question first, one word by one word. If there is any word he doesn't know, I'm going to tell him that you don't need to worry about anything. I'm going to help you. So after that, he will feel more secure. So he'll have more confidence to communicate with English. And this is, I noticed that when our homeroom teacher asked him a question by English, he would answer by English. This is really big progress, and that really surprised us. That made me so happy. And also, like, we also talk a lot. Like, I kind of like what I like to do. Like, I always like make friends with those kids. So I don't want him to again school, because I heard his mom like mention that he doesn't want to go to school these days. He's very upset about school, about everything. So I start to make friends, and I always call him bro in Chinese, and I always talk about like, how do you feel? Like, after I know how does he feel, so it will be better. It'll be easier to help him, because I know what does he need. And sometimes like during class time, he always like come here to talk to me. He always say, Miss Cheyenne, I can't see well, I can't stand well, I can't focus on one thing, or my belly is very itchy. And I would ask him to, I prepare some cards that there are some like small jobs to do. For example, do 10 jumping jacks, or do 10 like stretch your body or something, and ask him to do some exercise. So express some energy out, and it will help him to focus on class later. That's the way I help him. So after he has good mood, and he also can be more positive in studying, and he's a quite positive kid. Like, it's also a problem, because like it seems like there is nothing can make him feel ashamed, because like when we like, if he make any mistake and parents or teachers blame or criticize him, he never show me the attitude that he wants to change. He always just laugh, and it seems like nothing, he cares about nothing. That's also a problem. Yeah, so the strategy we have used so far is counselor, that he used to see Miss Katrina one time a week, but it doesn't really helpful, because basically what I feel is they were just talking about their life, and he doesn't really change much. But his parents are very strict to him, especially his dad is very busy, always have the business trip, and only like normally each week only stay at home for 2 days. But his dad won't really talk about this issue or that issue. He would collect all the problems together, and finally one day he come back home, he just beat him. So that doesn't really solve the problem, but it can make him have good behavior for 1 or 2 days. Yeah. Yeah, and because he always bother other students, so we also ask him to sit alone for a while, but the admin doesn't really want him to be a single island, so we have to move him back. So the thing is, I talk to him every morning to tell him, emphasize again and again what to do. Don't touch anyone, don't hit anyone, don't bother other students. And if you don't understand or have any problem, please come to talk to me so I can help you. And we also ask him to do lots of extra work, because he have too much energy. So in the morning, we always ask him to clean the whiteboard and ask everyone to clap for him. Thank you. Fire helped us to do something. So make him feel more confident, also lose some energy, and also make other students like him more. And because he always can't stand well in the line, so we ask him to be the line leader, which is give him more responsibility, help him to stand well too, and won't leave the line, and we won't lose him. Yeah, and see with the teacher. So this is, I move my chair to him or ask him to sit next to me. This way also really helpful, like it really works that he is willing to do more tasks, or even though he always still bargain a lot, that can I only do 1 page, can I only write 1 sentence, oh my god, this is too much. Sometimes I have to be kind of hard to him, because like if I'm always like have the soft attitude, and he'll kind of bully me.
Yeah, but
And
it's good that like you have that relationship with him, that like at least there's someone in the classroom that he can like be like he can talk to and like have that connection with, so that maybe he doesn't just hate school forever because of the way he's being
yeah,
treated by the homeroom teacher. Like yeah, I think the you keep coming back to like your personal relationship with this student. I think that's like a huge thing that you're doing there. Like, I feel like it's really important to making sure that he's actually going to like be able to succeed in the future or even now.
yeah. And also it reminds me, I prepared I also have a rewarding chart that I collect. Like if students have good behavior, I give them 1 point, and if you have 10 points, 10 stars, you can get one small gift. I prepared a small machine that you spin it, and it will drop off an eraser, and you always give them lots of motivation. Also for him, I was kind of surprised that he cared about this, because all of those kids like are really rich, and like they have everything they want. But I kind of surprised that this kid who cares nothing, but he cares about this eraser.
Like making a physical like form of like his success, you know, like giving him something that
Yeah,
he can point to and say like I did well and this shows that, like, kind of thing.
yeah. Yeah, and after he told me that his dad always beat him because the bad email, so I was kind of frustrated that should I tell his parents his behavior, because like sometimes like not only teacher can help him, his parents also need to be involved in,
Mm.
and only talk to his mom. His mom is kind of like the lady who always emphasize that my son is just a kid, he's just a white paper. Like she doesn't really helpful, but so does his dad. Like the way his dad to correct him is definitely the way it can be accepted. So I even think his dad maybe need to see a counselor or a therapist, but
Yeah.
I'm not sure. So these days I also, kind of struggling about like, should I tell his parents? If I tell his parents, what can his parents do? Or if I don't tell his parents, only teacher teach him in school is not enough. His parents need to emphasize again and again. So I make sure that I send a bad email, I'll send 2 or 3 good emails. So his dad will feel like, oh, my son has progress. Okay, I can give him some rewards, but I don't need to beat him. I can just talk to him.
And I don't want to use crude language, but at my school we kind of call that a shit sandwich, where you take something like really good and you're like, oh, he's sitting really nicely in class, but he's struggling with his English. But oh, he was really nice to his friends. Like just make like mix anything bad between one good thing on top and one good thing on bottom. Like
Yeah, that's a really smart way to call it. Yeah. Do you have any questions? Like I also noticed that you are taking a note.
um I guess yeah, I have some notes here. I guess you said that you think that it's possible that he has ADHD.
Mhm.
And so like what do you think? How could you or if like how could you structure the classroom differently to kind of teach to that like um to that diversity? Like what maybe would you do differently in how the classroom is run to kind of help with that?
Uh, Let me think about it. So his ADHD symptom like to show that he always can see well, always want to move, always want to touch and hold things in his hand. So like what I said, I always ask him to stand next to me. They're really helpful. And he's the only kid who has that like kind of problem. So if there was only one kid in the whole class, it's kind of easy for me that only handle himself, because like I don't need to teach the whole class, so I can just keep eyes on him. But if the Miss Kitty, if my homeroom teacher is not here, I normally ask him to sit next to my table while I was teaching. So that also be very helpful. And I would ask him to be my assistant to help me collect the paperwork, or ask me or help me to correct the homework, or help me to move this or divide the paper to different students. And they're really helpful. And give him more work to do, and it's really good for his ADHD. And about he can focus on listening. Sometimes I would ask him to stand for a while if he feels too tired to sit down. And but I understand that lots of times he doesn't really understand the English teaching. So I won't require him to only keep eyes on teacher. I would allow him to take a rest if he's too tired or he's too boring. So I think that's okay for him.
So you were saying earlier that at your school it's okay to if the students aren't just using English, right? It's like okay if they use whatever their first language is too.
Not
No?
really. In
Okay.
the international track, we require students, they have to speak English. Like also teacher has to speak English.
Gotcha.
And actually we don't allow a teacher to speak Chinese in the classroom, but because he's kind of special, so our admin have a special rule for our classroom that I can translate the homeroom teacher's instruction to him, and I can speak Chinese to him to tell him to do some tasks.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. And so yeah, I think that's a really good idea, especially if he's getting really frustrated with the English. Plus, I think like maybe oh no, we're running out of time. But maybe yeah, just the connection of having his first language there, like next to the English, will help him to understand the English a little bit better.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I feel like another thing that might be beneficial for him might be like you talked about elbow partner. Is that
Elbow buddy is like there are 3 kids sit together and their table just next to each other. So people who sit next to him is his elbow buddy.
Gotcha. Okay. Is there like a system in place in the classroom where like maybe students could like help other students? Because I think it's really great that you're able to like sit with him so often and help him, but obviously there's 21 students in the class, or well 20 for now. And so like is there like anyone else in like any student that he could work with that maybe could like it could be an exception that that student could also speak in Chinese with him to kind of make it so that so that his like socialization with the rest of the class is like a little bit better, so he feels more encouraged to like participate. Do you think there's room for that in the classroom?
Yeah, well, we do ask the good students to sit next to him, and we have a really, really lovely girl who just came back from Australia, and her name is Joanne, and she speaks English and also Chinese, and she's a very, very sweet girl who always help him to translate. And sometimes when teacher keep asking him questions and he doesn't know what to do, and this girl will start to be a little teacher and tell him, let me tell you what to do, or let me tell you what does it mean. Like she's really helpful, but we can't allow fire only bother one girl, so sometimes we'll switch some other students sit next to him, but we make sure like those kids who's quiet or study well, so they won't be bothered or they can help him. Yeah,
because it could also easily become just like a complete distraction, right? If the wrong student partnered with them, it could just be like they're just like fighting, or like they're just talking to each other the whole time. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it's kind of a problem because we have 21 students and we only have 9 girls, 12 boys, and there's 1 girl in the US. It means we only have 8 girls in our classroom, which is not really balanced. But I'm very glad all of those girls are very, very nice and very good students, and they always can help him one by one. Yeah. And I prepared some questions. The first one is how to teach students with significantly different levels in the same class, which is like kind of like Fire and other students. And we also have 1 girl who her English is really good, but he can't write or read. I feel she didn't go to kindergarten before, and it seems like she just came back from the US. And she also have some ability, like she can't hold a pen, like her muscle doesn't really work, or she can't write even her own name or numbers, or it's really hard for her to control the pencil because the muscle didn't develop since she was a girl. And during the PE time, I also noticed that when she catch the ball, she would do this, like she doesn't really know where is it. So we also use a similar way to help Kaka, which is Fire, and this girl, that we teach them phonics and help her one by one. That's what we do. But basically it's all my job because I have more free time, but my homeroom teacher who need to teach all the time, she doesn't really can help those kids alone, which means one day if I become to a homeroom teacher, maybe I need to ask my AT to do that because I don't really have time to help. So it's kind of hard to teach the students like who has totally different level in the same class.
Yeah, I feel like that would be a good place to like put in like those differentiated learning that we were learning about the last like VC. I feel like
Mhm.
having that style of lesson could be really helpful from what you're saying in this classroom, so that like those students could like be working on something that's at their level and kind of build their confidence up to where they're able to take on more tasks. Because with what it sounds like with Fire, maybe he's feeling really not confident in his English ability. So maybe just like giving him like small English like tasks that he can do like confidently to kind of build up self-efficacy.
Yeah, and we always ask him like to draw first before he writes. So you'll make him like to have more idea to draw it down, and then he know what to write. And normally I just require him to write one sentence. So if there is any single word he doesn't know, he can ask me, or after I taught him the phonics, he start to try to write the words by pronunciation by himself now, which is, yeah, this is amazing.
Great.
And the second one, which is the best way to treat very emotional students. And like Fire is kind of emotional. Also, we have a little boy who's very emotional in our class. Like there was one time I told him you have no recess today, and he was crying and yelling at me in the classroom when nobody is there. He said like nobody has recess from today, and they don't have recess for 2000 days. He's very emotional, and when you talk to him, he basically not listening at all. He just stubborn, all like very strong mind that he only listen to himself. And sometimes when I ask him like, if somebody hurts you, what should you do? And he always say, use the same way to text them back. Yeah, and that broke my heart. And I talked to his mom a lot, and his mom also like heart was broken, and like his mom is a really, really nice lady and give him the best education she can, but it's still like kind of hard to have an emotional students in the class, especially during the class time. She would yell and cry and be mean to other students. Yeah. And the third one is, how do we nurture students with parents who doesn't participate much in their children's life? And there are some students like what you mentioned, like the T's parents, they have the second baby. They don't have much attention. They don't pay much attention on the first kid. And it also happened in my class that his parents that can help him to do his homework. That like every time when I check his homework was like lots of mistakes that nobody can help him. So when I talked to him and help him to correct during the recess time, he was crying and he said, nobody can help me at home. Yeah, so
She really needs to go out and take.
yeah. And what should we do for the students who has misbehavior? But yeah, that's what I mentioned, like Fire's parents, that his dad always beat him. Yeah, but I think those questions like are not can change or be solved over one night. You also need to take a long time and experience to check like what should we do little by little.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a really tough one. You know, I think those last three, especially really are like fall into the same category of like how to, you know, just nurture kids at school when like obviously a lot of their time is with us as educators, and so like how to, you know, provide them with like if they don't have safety at home or like if they're not learning how to regulate their emotions at home, how can we you know, teach them those things without like having like every time they go home just unlearning them. It's yeah, it's a really tricky subject. Yeah.
Thank you for listening. I talk too much.
I talk too much during mine. I think that's the whole point is that we're supposed to talk a lot. But I think we have less than a minute till it's
Yeah.
meeting. So I'm gonna try and end the recording and then